Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar focused on sustainability and great climate focused ideas for your business. I'm Molly Hughes with Softly Solutions. Today, we're featuring Ecodrive. If you're looking for a unique and simple way to engage your customers who want to do good for the planet, you're really going to enjoy today's conversation. Businesses as well as consumers are increasingly concerned about weather patterns, how they're changing, and how climate is changing. And they want to do their part, but they also don't know how or the best way to do so. Furthermore, it's kind of human nature that whatever it is, it has to be simple, right? So typically on this webinar, we discuss the usage of eco labels, not only to increase customer trust, but also to qualify you for programs such as government grants, the US EPA's environmentally preferred purchasing program, as well as for retail sustainability programs like Amazon's Climate Pledge Friendly, Wayfair Shop Sustainably, and more. If you're not familiar with these opportunities, you're going to want to reach out to us. We also have an entire library of webinars on different eco labels that you can reference on our website. Labels such as Safe for Choice, EWG Verified, GOT, Sleeping Bunny, and more. But today we are looking at building customer and stakeholder trust and also ROI from a different angle with verified carbon offsets. At this time, I'd like to bring on today's guest. It is Blake Ruschman, the co-founder of Ecodrive. Welcome, Blake.
Hey, Molly. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for being with us today. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. How did you get involved in sustainability and climate?
Yeah, so going back to the start of Ecodrive, always worked in e-commerce and the digital marketing world while actually having a sort of side hustle business where we were doing tree planting. And as we were working with brands, most of what we got our start with are what you'd call social good brands, where there was a buy a product, give back to some type of charity or give back model. And one of those brands we worked with was actually 10 Tree. And so from them, really learned the power of tree planting. It was one of the first brands I ever got exposure to. And at that agency, as we grew outside of just social good brands, we started working with a lot of companies that were just, brands that didn't have cause baked into them, not for any reason, just because it wasn't at the forefront, but they wanted to do something a little better. Sustainability, they knew that that was at the focus of the consumer, but also themselves. They wanted to be a more sustainable, better for the planet type business. So sort of merge these two ideas. And the way that we launched it was with planting one tree for every online order to the customer. It was very customer centric. It was something cool. And when we integrate it, because we were naturally running a lot of the marketing and strategy, we put it at a lot of important points along the customer journey and saw this incredible reaction from a performance and ROI standpoint. And kind of had this shift of, sustainability doesn't just need to be this thing where it's a cost center and it's a burden and expensive and confusing for brands, but it can actually be something that ties to the end customer, is really good for the planet and easy to understand for everyone.
Yeah, very good. And I think let's talk about timing. We see it in the news every day, right? There's places in our world that are burning up, literally more than we've seen in the past. Wildfires, wildfire. You're in California.
We're in California, yeah.
I'm in Chicago, so the fires in Canada are what they're saying. The size of Kentucky is the area that is burning, and we've actually been fighting. The haze and the smoke for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I would assume you're getting it in California as well.
A little bit, over the years we've had that where
it's so
where it's like looks like the apocalypse. I was actually in New York last week and it's still hazy and saw it there. But yeah, it's a hot topic, no pun intended. Where it's really a bummer. I mean, every time that happens, you hate to see it because it's just so terrible, and especially I think a lot of times on the East Coast and Midwest, that's not a typical thing where
we don't
fires
see it here at all.
Yeah, it speaks to it's spreading. A few years back, Australia had it really bad. You see it in all these places, and it's really sad to where it's a great timing to invest in the planet, because if you invest in other places, trees are a really interesting thing, and the nature-based solutions, because it actually does have an impact on the world. If you're planting trees one place and they're even burning in another, sequestration happens at an atmospheric level. So it's important to invest, and it's a great time to really be focusing on nature-based solutions because of the issues and problems we're having. I also think we just saw like the highest recorded temperature ever. I think that happened just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think worldwide it was, let's see, over 110 in Phoenix. It
Yeah,
was the hottest they had
crazy.
seen in 50 years.
Yeah.
So, certainly trees are anything, green is a good way to sequester that and to do good things for our climate. So, Ecodrive, you offset carbon emissions through verified tree planting, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about trees. Let's talk about what how they help with carbon.
Yeah. So really, it's sequestration through they're typically storing it in their roots and leaves and things like that. But what they do is they're this incredible storage system where as they grow and mature, they actually start to sequester more. So the longer that they're alive, the longer that they're taken care of, and the more that are actually planted, the more impact that actually happens.
Mm.
So, I mean, we grow up learning that trees are good and the sequestration and everything they do for the planet. But right now, it's actually a big part of when you look at the global goals from governments and agencies and things around the world. Reforestation is actually a huge part of a huge piece of the goal of trying to reach the reduction goals that they've set. So it's very scientifically backed. It's one of the things that's best for our planet, and it really is going to take a lot of investment from a global standpoint. There's not one specific country or continent that we should be focusing on. It should be all of them.
Yeah, we're all in it together. So on the screen right now, you can see some of the things that you do. You make it simple, tangible, and transparent. Let's talk a little bit about what EcoDrive in particular does.
Yeah. So what we're doing is when we say we're planting a tree for every online order or customer action, the reason we stick with this sort of one-to-one model with trees because of simplicity. The term that we've sort of coined is that most people are environmental-ish, which means that they want to
Mhm.
do better, but they might not necessarily be up, you know what I mean, changing every aspect of their life to do better or
It
focus on the
needs to be
environment.
simple. Yep.
Super simple. And when we talk about,
Mhm.
even though we're like offset in terms of carbon credits and like big fans that suck carbon out of the air, incredible things, but not necessarily. They're sort of lost on the everyday person because it's just tough and very scientific and hard to understand. So we focus on the tree and getting one tree in the ground for every order because it's something that is tangible. Everyone knows what trees are. They know they're good. And what we're doing, it's very visual. So you can see that one tree is being planted and it's easier to track. So that's where the transparency comes into where these are hand planted trees by individuals. We have a
Mhm.
lot of technology in the field, and it's a way to actually feel connected to a business, but also to the impact that you're having, to where that tree is your tree and it's happening by supporting a business, which is super powerful in terms of that end consumer and their feeling of direct impact.
Great. If anybody has any questions as we speak with Blake, please put them in the chat and we will make sure that we get to your questions. So let's talk a little bit about how you actually do the tree planting. I kind of want to talk through, what that process is. But I think well, actually, let's talk about that first, and then we'll kind of go on to, are they mangroves? Are you doing them in specific areas? Do I get to pick the area I want to, plant in? And then we'll kind of go on to the transparency section.
Yeah. So what we do is we're partnering with nonprofits all around the world to actually do the planting, and they're typically
Okay.
doing planting already. But then what we do is we add a verification layer over that, which is super important because we worked with lots of nonprofits and they're doing such good work, but they don't have the technology. They're typically budget constrained, and so when we come in, we're adding technology essentially into the hands of the planters. We plant now all around the world, all different types of trees. What we like to plant is mangrove trees because they are
Mhm.
the super tree for the environment. They sequester more carbon than almost any other tree. They are super durable, super high survivability rates. They germinate more trees around them as they grow and mature. So if you've ever seen a mangrove forest, they're very dense. It's a lot of trees.
Mhm.
They're also a blue carbon sink. So they're storing that carbon in the soil, which is super important, which means it'll be stored there for thousands of years. Even if they die, that 90, a large majority of the carbon is still sequestered. So that impact maintains long past their life cycle. And yeah, we focus on countries all around the world. Kenya is one of our biggest plots. We've done a lot in Madagascar where they're native species. And the country is chosen essentially at the brand level. So the businesses we work with, they get to decide, hey, we want to do North America. We want to do Kenya. We want to do, we're launching Thailand and Haiti and a few other places. We just launched Hawaii. So it really varies based on the brand and their goal of something that will resonate with their customers. The interesting thing that we've seen, though, because it is a lot more expensive to plant in North America, we've seen a really awesome engagement from customers when they've been educated about mangroves and why Kenya, why mangroves. A lot of what we do in these other countries has a huge poverty alleviation factor to it. We're employing local people through the nonprofits, and they now have the socioeconomic development is a story that we don't get to tell quite as much as I'd like. So the impact and restoration from a habitat level, as well as a local community impact, is really awesome when we talk about the mangroves. So that's what we try and focus on.
Yeah, and I love the education behind it, but also that the business can kind of pick, the area that they want to focus on, because I'm sure that
Mhm.
has to do, goes into their whole marketing to the customer as well. Hey, we're helping, this area, and you can market to that area or give the story of,
Exactly.
of that specific area. Yeah, 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 very genius. Let's kind of go now to the next portion of your business, and that has to do with transparency. So greenwashing, we know it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
And so how did you get into that? Hey, we're going to have to verify each tree out there rather than, hey, take our word for it. We're doing it.
Yeah, honestly, from a personal frustration standpoint,
Hmm.
of when we looked at when businesses were saying they were doing something or donating or committing to something, I'm sure they were, but there was no follow through. The example we often use is when you're at the grocery store and they say, "Hey, do you want to round up to X, Y, and Z
Yep.
cause?" And it's really tough to do that. I mean, I don't always do that because I'm like, yes, but you don't know where it go. Like, did I help feed one person who was like struggling, or did this help one dog get
Mhm.
adopted or one tree get planted? There was no follow
And I
through.
might not even know what that cause is.
Or yeah, don't even recognize
Mhm.
it. So it's always tough to where what we really do is the follow through. We wanted to be able to have a brand or
Mhm.
business say, "Hey, we're doing something good," and then to each individual customer say, "Hey, look, we did this. It was real. This is where it happens." So verification is the crucial part of our business. It's something that we pride ourselves that we're doing. That we're sort of leading the charge, which is not always easy. But what it means is, every planter has a phone in their hands. They're recording timestamps, latitude and longitude, how many trees they're planting, content. We're now even at the point to where they're supposed to be planting in specific plots, and we're tracking walking path to make sure they were in the right place. And then the tree gets planted, and then we actually go boots on the ground, as well as a lot of satellite and other technology in the field to verify those trees got planted. So even with our process, it takes 6 to 8 months. If we're planting the trees for July, we're going to be planting, it'll take 6 to 8 months to actually plant and verify those, which is way longer than it used to, sort of be promoted or marketed that it took. So we're very transparent about that. I think that's something that's people resonate with. You realize that you can't like, oh, I ordered from a brand today. If they got an email the
My tree's
next day,
planted tomorrow.
yeah, you'd be like, okay, really? Like there would be some questions there. And so we really just kind of level with both the businesses and their end consumers of like, hey, this
Mhm.
is realistically what it takes. But guess what? It's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, we've gotten to a place in society where you need that transparency and verification. Talking about greenwashing, let's kind of go back when it really made the news, really big, and people were saying, hey, I don't know if I can trust what's on a label. I don't know if I can trust that. The big one that was out there, McDonald's, they introduced these paper straws that ended
Mhm.
up not being recyclable. Things like that, I think, really made people start thinking about, hey, I want something that I know can be verified and that I can actually track. Um, Delta Airlines, talk a little
Yep.
bit about that. That what they do, they put you might even know the story better than I
Yeah.
do, but they put a lot of money into carbon offsets, right? They're
Yeah, a
saying
ton.
carbon neutral airline.
And yeah, and if you could offset, they were promoting the offsets of your
Mhm.
flight's carbon neutral, or even having people opt in and pay for it, and all these different options. And those underlying credits, where the voluntary carbon market is, it's very murky
Mhm.
with carbon credits, where there's a lot of people doing incredible work, but it's unfortunately overshadowed by a sort of asset class where
Mhm.
multiple people you can buy and sell to multiple people, and then three people are claiming the same offset, and
Right.
that's just, it's fraud. Like, so that's where regulation is developing and stepping in, but there's just a huge risk with the actual carbon credit market. Whereas when we say offset, we really define it as, hey, this is going to be offset, or this carbon will be sequestered over this tree's lifetime. It doesn't happen tomorrow. So it's a little bit more of that long tail investment in the future. It's either Warren Buffett or some Greek philosopher that has a great quote about, like, about, I want to plant trees for my grandchildren that I'll never live to see. So it's
Yep.
very much the investment in the future of that tangibility, to where it is real. That's where the verification comes in. And we work with a lot of businesses that have gotten burned on the carbon, the greenwashing. They've gotten in trouble. And they're now trying to sort of hit reset and do something that's real, and learn from those mistakes. So huge problem. I don't know if that's going anywhere anytime soon, but more and more people are working to get that sorted out.
Yeah, no, it is going. I mean, I think you're going to be leading the way for it going somewhere, because yours is an offset, but that's going directly, staying within your system, and you're then verifying it and and there's probably other verification methods that you can use as well, but actually have a GPS location. And I think that's, a transparent blockchain of
Yep.
the events. And I think that's where people want to see things going. And I think businesses should feel a lot more comfortable, working with a company such as yours, for that. So on that note, let's talk about the benefit to a business to work with Ecodrive.
Yeah, so this is really cool. What we've seen is those simple call outs. Like, when you're doing this, there's a lot of, again, like, I'll use that term, people are environmental ish, to where we've run a
Mhm.
lot of studies with brands as they've, said, hey, we're planting a tree, but then educated on post-purchase email flow follow-ups. That's what this case study is about there. So this was a brand that we worked with for a couple of years called Lucky Vitamin. They actually, this study was done completely without us. They came back to us and were like, hey, look at these numbers. And what they saw was anyone who interacted with that tree planting call out saw just an incredible lift across, their retention, AOV, and lifetime value. Also, like, the conversion when we call out, hey, in cart, we're planting one tree for your order, we see an average lift of 17%. So really, really simple things, but very powerful at key customer
Mhm.
journey points. And then the follow through. We have even some brands that work it into their paid media campaigns. And the only thing that's changed is we plant a tree with every purchase with a tree emoji and a call to action to purchase and plant now. So really simple things, but really powerful things. We really focus on, I think, so oftentimes sustainability is a cost center, where we're trying to make it a growth center, to where really at any scale of business, the cost of the trees is pretty affordable, no matter what type of product we work with. Everything from your standard, e-commerce, fashion, apparel, CPG, to pieces of industrial equipment sold B2B through a Shopify store. And all of them see this incredible lift because it is a small investment for a huge return. And people want to work with brands and other people that care about the environment. That's obvious. The shift in conscious consumerism is
Mhm.
massive. And you talk about timing, it's happening now. The numbers speak for themselves. So we always pose it as, hey, this is good, something you can do that's good for the business, good for the planet, and good for your customers. The numbers speak for themselves.
Mhm. And I love that the business can continue to have engagement with that customer. And I'm sure that plays into the customer retention. So, yeah, you did
Absolutely.
this, and now, a month later, hey, or 6 months later, be able to re-engage and say, hey, the trees that you contributed to have now been planted here. There's continual engagement that they are able to have based on what you're providing. And I think, that offers a lot. So how does a business, start? How do they get signed up?
Yeah, so we have a portal. It's all through. It's called the Impact Ecodrive Impact Portal. It's very simple. It's a really beautiful dashboard where you sign up. It takes 5 minutes to sign up, where you can integrate your Shopify, or if you want to do a custom planting, we have lots of brands that just plant. There's a custom entry if you wanted to plant 10 trees, 100 trees, or
Mhm.
plant for your retail, plant for all types of things. And then it starts at the mangroves are 45 cents per tree. So it's simple as that. We have other projects now. We did launch our project marketplace, which is super exciting. So that's where now, if you can go in, if you wanted to plant in Hawaii or Montana, or we actually have
Mhm.
kelp as well now in Vancouver, British Columbia. We're launching plastic removal soon. So we're expanding all these causes, and you can pick essentially what cause you want to tie to the customer order. And then with that comes, I think, a lot of hands-on marketing support from us. So within there, there's a marketing toolkit. You can get content from the actual plot of land where the trees are being planted. There's pre-built banners that you can place in cart. So we tried to make it really easy, really plug and play. Again, that's coming from the brand space to where once you're in there, it's like, oh, it's all done for me. But we're also very hands-on with helping implementation because we've seen the impact, and we're really looking for partners. We know if this is integrated into the brand, it's meant to be very additive, not overwhelm brand identity. It's going to be additive and something that we want to partner with and plant trees for the long term. So yeah, it's a beautiful platform, really easy to sign up and start planting.
Yeah. So if you do sign up, use Softly 25. We believe in this a lot. You will get a free month. That is your promo code Softly 25. So on the platform, really quick, kind of going back to that, you had showed, what one of your partners had measured in the past. Are there ways that measuring that impact is also on the platform and makes it easy for
Yeah.
them to do so?
Great reminder. Thank you. I should have covered that. So with it, you also get a public dashboard. So with that, meant to be a place that you can send your customers. And on that is all of the transparency. So it's the impact you've had. It's how many trees you've planted. It's the amount of carbon they'll sequester over their lifetime, the amount of work days you're creating for those local people that we employ, as well as things like an interactive map of literally where the trees are being planted, content that they can see more about the story, the impact, the type of tree, really meant to be educational. As well as being white labeled. So it's your logo at the top. You get to customize the text and speak to your customers and say, hey, this is something we're doing for you. And it's all pre-built. As soon as that's part of the sign-up process. If anything, that's the most complicated part. It's adding your logo and writing that text, and that's part of it. So that's fully built and ready to go for anyone that signs up.
So there's a question in the audience. It says, since you have these GPS locations on the trees being planted, is there a way to that a business can give it as a promotional certificate or gift certificate or a gift to someone that way, hey, we planted this tree on your behalf or something like that? Or is that
Yeah,
not?
exactly. So they could do that. It's the plantings. That's where they could plant for every online order, but then also, you know what I mean, plant extra and then send them. That's something we would even help them create of like, hey, custom certificates for your customers from this one. Because we verify, it's actually really exciting. It's part of our thesis on integrating the technology in the field. To where we're going is we'll actually be able to give individual customers the ability to register a tree ID with us. So for their order, they can come back and register with Ecodrive and track that tree. Because we're monitoring, they'll even be able to see if something were to happen and that tree died, they will be updated. So that's the level of transparency and authenticity we're talking about, to where it's coming down the line of yes, literally, and see your exact tree. But in the meantime, we will help with certificates, custom badges, banners, things to customers. Absolutely.
Okay. And on the screen, you can see right now, kind of why now? Why this is a good time for your business, for Ecodrive, but also for the business to be engaging consumers in this way. Here's some statistics that you shared with us.
Yeah. So these are the heavy hitters of research. Shopify in terms of the platform, McKinsey, IB, there's no question that the time is now. People are voting with their dollars. They want to make more intentional and conscious purchasing decisions, and they're looking for brands that are doing it. They want to feel. If you think about it, people are coming to shop and buy. They want the product. They want to feel good about the purchase, and so helping them feel good, legitimately good, because something's good happening, is super important. Like I said, we're very additive. I think we're a great first step, middle step, last step. As businesses are transitioning, they should still absolutely be focusing on, supply chain efficiency to not do extra emissions there, materiality. But those are just those complex, really expensive topics. So along that long journey, it's a lot of things are being focused on in terms of sustainability. But there's no question that this is where we're going. People are going to be wanting to support businesses that are focused specifically on the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, we love everything that you're doing at Ecodrive. Blake, is there anything else that we missed or forgot to cover that you want to mention?
No, I think that's awesome. This was incredible. Thank you, Molly. I mean, my encouragement to everyone would just be get started, take that first step. I think a lot of times that's scary to where it really is important to test and see. And I think one thing that brands can do is engage with the audience. There's a lot of really cool free engagement tools, social media. Run a poll, say, do you want a more sustainable option? Is this something you care about? That should be the focus of brands, is talking to their audiences, engaging with them and saying, hey, like, this is a journey we're going to do. Is this something like, do you want to participate with us?
Okay, and we are going to provide Ecodrive's contact information in just a minute. But thank you so much for being with us today, Blake. You shared a lot of great information. We really appreciate it.
Molly, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. So research shows that just as convenience became a basic consumer expectation, the demand for transparency is quickly becoming the baseline for customers. It has to be, right? So today we learned about a great way businesses can increase trust and transparency while being, doing good things for the planet. Our goal at Softly is to inform you of ways you can enhance your business in a people planet positive way. So our primary focus is to really simplify sustainability for businesses. So we start by helping you find the best certification for your brand. Certifications like you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. There's a lot to consider when it comes to certification because there's actually over 400 eco labels out there. So we know it can be really, really overwhelming. But we'll look at your sustainable initiatives and we'll help you find the one that's going to give you the best return on your investment by qualifying you for lucrative government and retail programs and other programs that are out there. This is important, and we know how confusing the eco-labeling process can be. So we're offering free consultations. We also have a platform that will take your message to the consumers. It's our personal sustainable shopping assistant. This is a free download. You can get it on the Chrome Web Store or at getsoftly.com. And we elevate and suggest sustainable products that are certified to be what they say they are to shoppers. So here is my contact information. So you can sign up for a consultation. And here is the information on Ecodrive. Please shoot them a message and check out their website. I can guarantee that you're going to learn a lot. This live webinar is recorded, so this recording will be available later on our website. Thank you so much for being with us today. Please join us again for another one of our informational chats. And until then, have a great day, everybody, and tread softly on the world.